All side, buddy. Sensation, prepare for some deep shit. Bossy, you're a bitch. What the fuck?
One. Hello, everyone, and welcome to PWC 24/7. I am Sean Sation, here to introduce to you the risk taker, the daredevil, the most extreme, the man known in WFA as Tonkpils. Tonk, welcome. How the hell are you? It has been years, my friend.
It has been years, brother. I'm doing rather well. Yeah, my neck's not broken. My tailbone's not broken after all the falls I've taken, so I'd say I'm doing pretty good.
And the shirt you're wearing right there makes a huge statement for me that wrestling will never be as great as it was in the Attitude Era, rocking that Austin 316 shirt. So, no better man to represent than Stone Cold.
Oh my God. They could try, but 98, 99, 2000, wrestling will never be the same again as it was back then, guys.
Let's rewind back in time before WFA. Let's talk about how you got into backyard wrestling. How'd you meet some of the guys you met? Your FTA time and things like that. So let's start off with this, man. How'd you get into backyard wrestling?
Okay, well, basically, Jesus Christ. Backyard wrestling for me was basically running into, you guys know him as Slick Rick, Ricky Wojcik,
Right.
and I was good friends with his brother. So when I heard that he used to like to wrestle, we decided to cut school one day, which is a bad message to send out. Kids, do not cut school because you'll end up like me. Set up a few mattresses in my living room and start wrestling and messing around. And then, it made its way out of the Mikey's living room and made its way to the parks and stuff like that. And then we decided to do BCW, Brooklyn Championship Wrestling, which is, a few guys that Ricky and PJ Oz, I'm sorry. I can't not call him Peeps. I'm sorry. But that they started their own little thing, wrestling on mattresses and stuff, building a ring. They had like ropes and stuff like that. It was
Well,
great. It was great.
I wanted to ask you about BCW. Now BCW took place on Bay 50th, and at times it took place in, if I'm not mistaken, in the yard of Dewey High School on the campus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So some of the members I remember was yourself, Oz, of course, Rick, and also Chris Bum, who actually is no longer with us. He passed away a couple years ago. So tell me about BCW and how'd you meet Rick?
So I met Rick, like I said, through Paul, who's also no longer with us. Rest in peace, Paulie. Great friend of mine. And his brother Ricky liked wrestling, so me and Paulie were really good friends. But me and Ricky had something to click on because we both liked wrestling as well. And once we did the mattress thing in my living room and just basically fucking tussling around, we didn't take any bumps or anything serious. But once we did that, and then he introduced me to BCW, it was like I wanted to just film everywhere. I was like, dude, you have a little wrestling thing going on. Let's just fucking film everywhere. And Chris, he played the gimmick up of Stone Cold Steve Austin. So good. Just so good. He used to kick us and stun us, and like we just couldn't get enough of it. We would run home to my house, my house on Bay 50. We would run to the house to watch him kicking us and stunning us like all over the place. Like he was so awesome. He was such a great guy, and as was Ricky's brother Paulie. And the world is a shittier place without them. But but
yeah, we lost a lot of good guys over the years.
Absolutely. But we also had Ryan. Ryan was he was considered the yeah. So we had him, and we had a few guys, just but So, like, once we started to, actually venture out and see if there was anyone else like us, because trust me, we were kids. We didn't think there was anyone on planet Earth that was like us. You know what I mean? But once we
Right.
ventured out, we saw that there's some kids at Day Parkway, Cropsey Park, that they do
Well,
their own little wrestling.
let me jump in real quick though, because I was doing an interview earlier with Oz, and he was telling me how before BCW was BCW, it was Bay 50th Wrestling. So, do you have any recollection of that?
No. No. Listen, we wrestled everywhere. So we didn't really have a name for it because there was no such thing as Bay 50th Wrestling. We didn't call it that. All we simply did was we wrestled all over the place. Wherever there was grass, we were wrestling, and we had a camcorder to film it, basically. There's
Right.
one clip, there's one clip that will live on in infamy, which unfortunately, due to Hurricane Sandy, we no longer have. Okay? But in my mind, and Rick's mind and in PJ's mind, it will live on in infamy. There was a wrestler called Super Dragon. Do you remember him?
A real professional wrestler named Super
Yeah.
Dragon?
Yes.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Okay. So Super Dragon used to do this move. His finishing move was called the Psycho Driver. If you've never seen it, please pause this video right now and go to the Psycho Driver, because the Psycho Driver is the craziest wrestling move on earth. It's basically getting a guy up in like a torture rack and then just dropping him head first onto the ground.
Sounds like Scott Steiner's finisher. I don't know if you
No,
remember that.
no, it's not. It's very different because you're doing it in between your legs, and he's got nothing to break his fall. So I
Mm.
said to PJ one day when we were doing what he probably considers Bay 50th wrestling, I said, dude, give me the Psycho Driver. We could do it. It's easy. He does
Right.
it, and he drops me directly on the top of my head. And any other normal human being probably would have broke every fucking bone in their neck. But I was like, no, didn't hurt. And when everybody else saw that clip, they were like, I'm never wrestling with that guy again. That's it. He was going to kill you. He wanted to kill you. Like, he was going to kill you. And I was like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. Like, okay, I
Oh
fell
my
on my.
God. I'm watching this Psycho Driver finisher right now.
Yep.
Dude, you took that?
Yep. Absolutely.
You're
Absolutely.
sick.
And he
You
botched
are.
it. So picture that move, okay, but being botched. Okay, so instead of coming down with the legs, now I'm just full force on my head, on my neck. There's nothing to break my fall. I'm just on my head. That's it. And I walked away from it, and I was fine. I didn't have anything wrong with me, so I didn't look at it as that big of a deal. But once the clip started getting around to kids in our neighborhood, they were like, "I'm not wrestling with PJ because he just dropped you on your head, and I don't want to get dropped on my head." So that kind of started to get him a bad name. You understand? And
I
I
get
was
it.
not
So it followed him everywhere he went. Because
exactly.
he was pretty much like the D'Lo Brown with Draw's situation.
Yeah, yeah. So there was okay, but you brought up ECW, and I want to go back to that because yes, we used to wrestle on mattresses back then.
Hmm.
So it wasn't extreme. It wasn't nothing we were doing that was crazy. But when Rick decided to venture out and contact the kids from FTA at Cropsey Park, we realized that hey, there's kids who do this too.
Well,
Except they do it.
let me jump in on that one because
Yeah.
when I was spoken to PJ, he told me that Rick met Sarge Ray and Weasel at
Mhm.
Funtime USA, but when Rick was going to Madison High School, that's how they kind of got more closer together, and then
Yeah.
eventually FTA started. If I'm not mistaken, FTA started in 2000, right?
You know what? You'd be better served asking somebody else that question because I was definitely not there for the beginning of FTA.
Right.
I was
Okay.
part of the BCW invasion in 2001. That's what I was part of. So
Okay.
yeah.
Oz touched up on the the BCW invasion, so
Which
I
was
want to
late
hear
on.
hear your story on that because
Yeah.
there's going to be Oz's end and your story. So We're gonna see.
By the way,
which
before
one.
anything, Keeps, I love you, and you know I love you. Before anything's said, but okay. So basically, the three bright spots of BCW was me, Rick, and Oz. There was a few other guys. This kid Jesse, this kid Rob, uh,
All
David.
names.
David is the one whose backyard we wrestled in.
You know what's crazy? I remember seeing a little bit of video that Rick let me watch, and it was you guys. I remember you jumping off the ladder too, or something like that in the backyard. So I do remember that. I do remember seeing footage of you guys with Chris Bum and Dewey wrestling on the mattress. So I do remember seeing these videos. Unfortunately, they got lost. But
Yeah.
so tell me about now. What any like so? You started with BCW, and then eventually you made your way into FTA. Tell me how that all got put together, and what was your experience like meeting all these other guys? And I know Rick met them within the neighborhood and stuff like that, but what's your thoughts on it? I mean, you came in there. What was the vibe like? What was your time like? I mean, unfortunately, there's no tape library for us to really review much, so it's all based on memory. Um, did you like any of the guys there? And tell me about some of your experiences there. Give me the rundown.
Okay, so I'll give you the rundown from the beginning, basically. Um, Once we stopped wrestling in David, who his wrestling name was Deacon Frost, probably
Okay.
no video of him, but he was there, okay? And it was his backyard that we actually wrestled in. So if there's any BCW tapes that exist, that was official BCW, it's in his backyard. Once we stopped wrestling in his backyard and stopped setting up rings and stuff like that, we were basically just moving around, like you brought up before. We were wrestling in Dewey and
Yeah.
different places just around the neighborhood that we were wrestling in, basically. And it led Rick to kind of want to reach out to other people and try to see if there's anybody else who wrestles, Now, BCW had a solid roster. We had a guy named Rob, we had a guy named Jesse, we had David, we had a bunch of those guys. And when Rick started to make contacts with other people in the area, the only people who were like, yeah, I'm down. Let's go and see these other guys was me and Oz. And it made it even harder because Oz was away for the summer. So it was
Okay.
just me and Rick, basically.
Gotcha.
So when Rick made these contacts, he sent they were exchanging videos at first. Because listen, FTA was good. They were good. Okay?
I mean, everywhere I turned, I always heard about FTA, so they had a good reputation.
They were good. They were taking real bumps. They were really
Yeah.
falling. They were doing all those things that we like to pretend that we were doing on mattresses, Oh, it hurt. I took a suplex. But that shit didn't hurt. They were doing it. Shout out to, Weasel and Motion and SAR and Dre and all those guys who were just
Motion.
Ango and they were falling for real. So Rick decided, hey, I'm going to exchange a video with them, Now, it sounds probably stupid. We're here in 2021? It sounds probably stupid to think of it this way, but it's like if you're FTA and the guys in FTA and you know that you're really taking bumps, you're not just going to let some two-bit, mattress trampoline wrestlers walk into your, no, we have something established here. We're doing what we do. We don't want any part of you. And I talked to SAR,
Okay.
his
Yeah.
name in FTA, and I talked to him about this. And he said to me, that there was one thing that he saw in the video when he was like, oh, maybe these guys could actually do something and you know what I mean, and actually come and perform, is that we were having a Royal Rumble in the backyard or whatever, and PJ power bombed me off of a ladder.
Jesus Christ.
So he's standing with his back to the ladder. My head is in between his legs, and basically all that's going on in my mind is, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. I want to have a life. You know what I mean? and he
Well, I
fucking
gotta admit, you're willing to take it, so you must have had a death wish, my man.
he just fucking grabbed me, he flipped me up, and he fucking launched me off that fucking ladder, and it was just like it was kind of a sight to see. You know what I mean? Like it was kind
It
of a
feels
sight.
like forever when you're falling, right?
Oh, definitely. I thought it was never gonna end.
Jeez.
But I guess for the
I
guys
hope
in that
that I hope that match was orthopedic, my man. So
match was terrible. That was just us like fucking around, just jumping around, being idiots and stuff like that. And then we had this one spot that actually was cool. And Rick sent that to the FTA guys, and Sar saw it, and he was like, "Yo, he just took a power bomb off of a fucking ladder, bro. Like that's crazy." Like,
I have
yeah.
I have a question. I want you to hold that thought real quick. Now, from what I understood, and I heard this around town, but and even Oz confirmed it, but maybe you might know more about it. Was there three different parties of FTA where it was like Weasel's crew,
Yeah.
Wiggy's crew, and then you had Slick Rick's crew?
Okay. I don't know if that's how.
Why don't you finish your thought and then get into that part?
Okay. Real quick, I'll just finish how we got into FTA real quick. Basically, they saw the clip. You know, we sent them a bunch of videos of us doing crazy shit. You know, they saw the power bomb off the ladder, and they were like, "Yo, come by one night. We'll put you guys on camera." You know, and kind of this is now. Remember, this is at the same time during the WWE WCW invasion.
Okay,
So
which
this was like
was
pretty
2001,
cool.
correct?
Right, exactly. This is like we were literally recreating what was happening on TV, basically. So we were all like,
Which was popular at the time.
it was. So, you know, everyone's thinking about matchups and all this stuff. And the only thing that was going through my head was there's three of us. There's
Yeah,
fucking you guys have like fucking
it
20
was
wrestlers. Three of us. So with that in mind, and you know, even if you go up to my last match and you say, well, Tonkpils, you know, he had a good backyard wrestling, you know, run and everything like that. We owe it all to the guys in FTA who were like, listen, I understand that you guys only have three. We think that you guys are good enough, and we're gonna switch some guys over to your set, basically. So they started doing
okay.
like the, you know, the okay, so they're gonna jump ship and go from FTA to BCW. So we
Right.
got
Well, I heard Rage jump ship with you guys.
Axel
That's
Rage, Rage James, yes, Rage James, but also Axel Rage did. Uh,
okay.
not Tom Jew. Tom Jew stayed with FTA. Uh, shit. This is where I'm
What
starting.
about the Hitman?
No, Hitman stayed with FTA as well. There was a few. Oh, Motion. Motion came to BCW.
What
He
about
was like our
Violent J?
biggest.
No.
Marcus.
Yeah.
Marcus Motion. He came to BCW, and that was the best. That was the best because he had an ongoing feud with Mango at the time.
Oh, okay.
And when he came out, so basically, oh man, this is so cool. I can't wait to tell this story.
Go for it. This is
so
great.
so we started establishing like sides, basically. Like, okay, Axel and James Rage are in BCW now, and you know we had matches and stuff like that. You know what I mean, back and forth. So so if you guys jumped ship and came to BCW, and then Mango, who was the main eventer in FTA at the time, you know, Vinny
Hmm.
Romano, he was the main
Okay.
event. That's Mike's brother. That's
Yeah, I
Mickey's
know.
brother.
I know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So he was like pretty much the main eventer at the time, and it was like we decided to do this thing where we were like, he's gonna run through the BCW gauntlet, and he has to fight every member of BCW in one match, basically. And this was so cool. And I recall this, okay? The reason why I recall this is because Rick was involved, okay? Uh, Marcus Motion was involved. James was involved. Axel was involved. There was a bunch of guys that were involved. And for some reason, me, one of the original members of BCW, I was left out of the fucking gauntlet.
What the
I was like, you have to run through a BCW gauntlet, and I'm not in it. I was
That's
like,
it. You should have jumped ship to FTA right there. Like, fuck you guys.
You guys, what the fuck? So I approached Vinny, who I could tell you another story about me and Vinny and Mike that we actually knew each other before our wrestling days, but I'll digress that to another point in the video. Is that
Okay.
I approached Vinny and I said, "Dude, do you want me to do something?" Like I was like, "Do you want me to do anything? Like you got all these
You're
new
like, hello, BCW
yeah,
original.
all these new BCW members, and no offense to anyone who fought him in the gauntlet, but the segment that I had with Vinny right before the unveil of Motion being BCW and he had to fight Motion right before that was the best part of the gauntlet because we did this little thing where I told Vinny, I was like, listen, I got to be in this gauntlet, bro. Like you can't just fight all these FTA guys that came over from, to BCW and I'm not in it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't present it to him like that, but I was like, hey, I want to do something with it, At the time when I entered FTA, I was feuding with Wiggy. Okay.
Okay.
So I got together with Wiggy and his brother, and I said, "Listen, let's do this thing where it's a 3 second spot. Okay, you're running through the gauntlet. I come in, I swanton you, I get up, and Wiggy kicks me in the face, and you pin me, and that's it. And we did it, and it got the biggest fucking pop of the entire fucking gauntlet, bro, because Mango's laying there and he's just looking around and he's all fucked up, and then all of a sudden, and my music hits, the Hardy's
Oh
music.
my god.
I'm on the fucking rail already, and I just boom! I fucking blast him with the swanton, and the second I get up, Wiggy hits me with a super kick right in the face. I'm on the floor. Mango pins me 1, 2, 3, and now we can have the veiling of Motion being BCW. That to me was like fucking
That's
amazing.
awesome, man. Hearing this, I really wish the videos were available, man. It's sad.
I would give a left nut.
That's serious, bro.
They were great. It was great stuff, bro. I'm telling you, it was great stuff.
Now,
But as
go
far
ahead.
as going back to the Bay 50th days, when Rick finally contacted these guys and they decided, like, hey, this kid just took a power bomb off a ladder, like, their whole dynamic was, okay, we have 20 wrestlers. You guys have 3. We'll put you on camera for our night, basically. So there
Okay.
was a segment that they did, FTA, in one of their, weekly, recordings, is that we were like up high somewhere, on a slide. There's me, Ryan, and Rick, and they were just recording us, like basically watching over the FTA guys, and then basically it evolved from there. Okay, but
Okay.
but it did not get serious until they saw something in the BCW, if you want to even call it that, because we were in way over our heads. These kids were taking real bumps, bro. We were wrestling on mattresses, you know?
Yeah. I'm sure at the time it must have been kind of scary in a way to be like, okay, I gotta live up to this.
We were in way over our heads. I remember actually going to Rick and being like, he's like, yeah, we're after the whole filming us, and stuff on the segment in FTA. I remember him being like, yo, they're gonna put us in matches. And I remember saying to him, but that means that we have to fall. That means that we have to like actually like do this. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, we gotta practice, bro.
There's no faking gravity, bro.
There's no faking gravity. Anyone who says wrestling's fake is a fucking lunatic. The shit fucking hurts, bro. I am one of the most outspoken people of this. The wind in your body will get knocked out of you the second that you hit that ground, because it's happened to me on such countless occasions, to the point where I've literally had to say to my opponent, like, stall, 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 do something. I can't breathe.
Okay, so getting into that, there
Yeah.
was a whole thing going around the neighborhood at the time I heard about, and I didn't know you at the time. Now, I heard that you did a swanton off the top of the jungle gym where the yellow slide was. and it was kind of like a botch mistake or something like that, where you landed on the table, but you didn't land in the center. You landed right on top of the garbage can. Take me back to that moment, man. What the hell happened?
Okay. So here's what's going on. So we're at the Jesus Christ. We're at, I believe it was the second time that we were at FTA pushing the agenda, the invasion storyline. Okay. So
Okay.
went the first night, we were just on camera, like, oh, there's BCW. Whoa, you know. Second time we were there, we were involved in some matches. I think that I wrestled against. I can't tell you. Oh no, I wrestled against Rick. It was a BCW match. They put us
Okay.
on. They basically put us on camera for the first time. But me and Rick knew each other better, so we were like, the safest thing to do is to have a match with us, basically. And I came out of the match unscathed. And me and Rick, in our planned matches, we had some fucking spots, bro. You know. But I was taking it on mattresses the whole time. Now I got to
Right.
take it on actual, on actual rubber. So I was like, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt, and it didn't hurt. It wasn't that bad, you know. Listen, it hurt. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. It
I
hurt.
was like, how do I'm like saying to myself, that shit
No,
fucking
no, no, no,
hurt.
no. You misinterpreted. No. You misinterpreted. It hurt. Okay, it was fucking painful, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like this. I'm gonna fall one time and get sent to the hospital, basically, but it wasn't. So we
Okay.
returned. So me and Rick fought. Okay, we did our BCW thing, and then we returned the following week, and we did some segments where it was like, oh, BCW is invading the FTA, and they're coming in, and Axel Rage, Alex, he had a
Okay.
segment earlier or early on, and I think that he was the first one to defect to BCW. I think he was the
Okay.
first one to leave FTA and come to BCW. So they set up a match. They were like, okay, it's Wiggy, Mike Wiggy, Tom Jew versus Axel and Tonkpils, basically. Okay, so it was a
Okay.
doubles match. Now the match wasn't that great. We did a few spots. We did like a lot of. That's the match that I remember most. That we did a lot of backyard wrestling bullshit. Like I'm gonna hit you with an ironing board. Like you're gonna get spin kicked. Like it was bad. It was bad all around. But it was fun. We had a good
Let,
time.
so let me ask you this: what's the end result of the invasion? How did it end, and what was the end result of it?
Okay, I'm
If,
gonna get to that. But let me just tell this falling story, this Mike falling story, where he damaged his tailbone and had to go to the hospital.
Jeez.
There was a spot in a match, and I could not tell you the people who were fighting in the match. I just don't remember. But there was a spot where they had a table. They had a door, basically, and they set it up, and they did a table spot, and the door didn't break all the way. It kind of like cracked on the side. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So now the night is over. Everyone's feeling great. Like, okay, BCW invaded. Like, we have guys turning to BCW from FTA. This is going to be awesome. Like, we're going to be great. Like this is like we're actually going to have like content, and people are going to want to come to the park and like have fun and watch. Great. Okay. We still didn't have the FTA's respect at that point. Okay. These guys have been falling for how many months? I don't know. And we've been playing around on mattresses. We didn't have any respect from them. They looked at us like, these kids are a few weeks, they'll be gone, and we'll be back to doing what we were doing. You know what I mean? And
Pretty much some Johnny come latelys.
yeah, exactly. Like, oh, we've been falling on fucking, mats the whole time, and they're fucking playing around on mattresses. Okay, so I knew from back in BCW that I was just down for anything, whether it be on mattresses, whether it be on grass. I knew that I was willing to do what other people probably wouldn't want to do, basically.
Well, you definitely
Okay.
proved that. That's for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So, so the end of the night comes. Okay. This is the night where me and Axel teamed up against Tom and Wiggy, basically. and the table is still there. It's still set up. It's just chilling right there by like one of the higher jungle gym bars.
Right.
And everyone's talking about, oh, I'll just jump off the thing and I'll go through it, and oh, choke slam me through it, and then I forget who it was. Maybe it was Juvie J, maybe it was Motion. Somebody said, no, let's film a segment for it. Let's like you know what I mean? Let's do something that, you know what I mean? Like let's use it. And I was like the first person, and I was like, I'll do a whisper in the wind.
Oh my God. that could go wrong so badly easily.
Me looking up at the fucking jungle gym, looking at the table and going, yeah, I'll do a corkscrew through this shit. Okay. So now I need to explain. I need to walk you through this second by second, because this image, Sean, is burned in my memory. Even though we probably will never see the footage, this image is burnt in my memory. It starts off with, we're like, okay, so Wiggy and Tom won the match against me and Axel, so they're going to be gloating. They're going to be like talking shit about how they won the match and everything. Okay, cool. I'm going to run up. I'm going to hit Tom in the head with an ironing board, and then I'm going to set Wiggy up on the table, and then I'm going to dive for a corkscrew through the table, and Wiggy's going to move, and I'm going to go through the table. Okay? Now, this is how it played out on footage. Okay? Wiggy is standing there. Here's the footage. Wiggy's standing there. He's telling Tom, I'm the lightweight champion. I'm the best. And I blast Tom in the fucking head with the ironing board. I'm telling you, this kid Tom the Jew was probably Christian after I fucking hit him. I'm telling you, I blasted this fucking kid with the ironing board. I don't know how you pass out, but I fucking nailed him with it. And there was a few people around who didn't know that we were filming, so they started laughing. And you could hear one person going, "Oh, this is on camera. I'm not supposed to be laughing." That's how stupid this was. That's how stupid. That's how last minute and like this is just last minute preparations. This was
Is like that impromptu shit, right? Going
exactly. On. The kids around thought we were like fucking around, but like, we were like, no, this is like a segment that we want to put into the video, basically. So I set Wiggy up on the table, and I start to climb up, and all I'm thinking in my head is, I can't do this, bro. I can't do this. Like, I'm gonna get hurt.
So you got hesitant when you got up there.
I'm very hesitant. Okay. Now, as I'm climbing up, somebody who I don't know who it was, okay, that before we filmed the skit, there was talk of somebody doing like a 450 splash through the table, which back then, obviously, I've done it before, which you know in my career, but back nobody did the 450. That was like something that nobody touched, you know. So as I'm climbing up, you hear somebody in the background go, "No, 450," and I was just like, "Fuck you!" I was like, really? Like, I'm about to do a fucking corkscrew moonsault through a table, and you're upset because I'm not doing a 450 through it? Like, fuck
I'll
you,
be honest,
dude.
I honestly think the corkscrew would have been more death-defying.
I think so too, because it's unpredictable. Anyways, the truth, the absolute truth is, yes, Tonkpils failed mid-move. He did. He did it, bro. Because the second that I jumped and I was in air and looking at the table, I started to think, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. And I doubted myself. And what it led to was me slamming onto the garbage pail that was holding the table up, missing the table completely, and damaging my tailbone, spraining my tailbone, and completely knocking the wind out of myself to the point where I couldn't breathe. Have you ever been knocked? Has the wind ever been knocked out of you so bad that you felt like you were pissing on yourself?
I've had the wind knocked out of me. I've suffered a stinger from
Did
Rick.
you ever feel in those moments like, holy shit, my legs are wet?
No, I don't think so.
That's how it felt in the moment. It felt like Yes, I
You had
couldn't
that.
breathe.
You had
Just
that
thinking.
warmness going down your legs.
Yep, exactly. I felt like my legs were warm, and I felt like they were wet, and I was like, I'm peeing on myself right now. That's all. That's what was going through my mind. They picked me up.
Jeez.
They walked me to the bench. I regained, I got the wind back into me. I was able to breathe and stuff. I walked away from the park limping that night. And the second we got to my house, Slick Rick, was like, he told my mom, he said, we got to take her to the hospital because he fucked his tailbone up. And he says he can't feel it. I went to the hospital. They told me my tailbone it was okay. It was sprained. I had a big sprain on my back and shit like that. It wasn't the end of the world. But in the moment, I
Thank
thought it was
God.
the
It's not the end of the world. You'll be all right. What'd you do, by the way? Oh, I just jumped off the fucking slide into a.
That's what it was, man. That's what it was. I even told Rick when we went into my house. I said, let my mom down gently. Gently, because she hates when I do this shit. So just
Oh,
let her down gently that we got to go take a ride to the
He'll
house.
be all right. He's all right. He'll be okay.
Exactly. That's what Rick was doing. Exactly. No, he'll be
Yeah.
okay. Bro, he'll be
Doing the
okay.
pat on the
Just
back.
broke
He'll
his
be
elbow.
okay.
That's
Don't worry. Do you have an ice pack, by the way, for this guy?
And that's what it was, man. And since that day, that second week that we were at the FTA grounds, they decided, the guys in FTA, that we're gonna roll with this. Rick is a really good technical wrestler. Mike is crazy. He'll just jump off of fucking anything. Let's roll with this and see where it takes us. And as they say, the rest is history. So yeah.
All right, so I mean, so far with this whole FTA thing, man, it's been really interesting how you guys integrated from BCW to there, and hellacious story, man, about all this high risk stuff that you've done. I mean, it goes that far back before you came into WFA. But tell me about some of the pros and cons of FTA. I mean, it always seemed like there was always like three separate groups from what I heard. I mean, for you, like, what was like the end of FTA for you that pretty much ended that whole clique and pretty much faded out? What was it for you, and what do you remember about that time? And you know, I mean, take me back, man.
Okay. Well, speaking of the click thing, it's hard for me to really talk about that because I was coming from completely outside. So, like, yeah, did I notice that, like, Weasel and Tsar and Dre were kind of like a little faction? Yeah, I mean, you couldn't help but notice that. They were probably like best friends at the time. You know what I mean? And and then you had like me and Rick, who we were really good friends back then. So, growing up, so you had that. Then, Vinny and Mike, obviously they're brothers, and their good friends was like Wayne and Joe Roach. Uh, you know, but then you had also some other characters in FTA that I didn't really get to know very well. You know,
Right.
Lahara and
Violent
Joe
J.
Lahara,
You
Joey
ever heard of You ever heard of Violent J?
Violent J? No, Juvenile J. You're thinking of?
Probably, yeah. I don't know why I
Yeah,
get that mixed
Juvenile
up.
J. He was like the champion at the time. He
Okay.
was like the one that held the belt, basically. But I didn't get in close with him. You know, um, basically the best memories that I have, and I know if he ever sees this, his asshole might clench in a little bit. But Mark Motion, man, you know, in his personal life, I've heard a lot of things that he's done that maybe might be fucked up, according to some people. I've probably done a lot of similar shit. But man, he just wanted to wrestle with the undercarders. He wanted to listen. FTA was similar to actual wrestling organizations. You had the big guys, and those are your heavyweights. And Juvenile J was probably like what, fucking 200 pounds. Johnny Blaze was fucking up there. He was tall, and you know Lahara was huge. These were big guys. And then you had like me and Wiggy and Tom Jew. And I remember Motion, who was like considered a top guy, who he just wanted to wrestle us. He didn't really want to wrestle like all right, Johnny Blaze, yeah, okay, it's fun, but he knew that we were the guys who were gonna put on the best show. So basically what I'm getting at is that after I took that dive through the fucking garbage pail, which fucking my tailbone up, we were basically, we did a show that was kind of like the invasion and everything, and I lost to Wiggy, and we did that whole thing like RVD versus Jeff Hardy type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
So Wiggy beat me, and we put on a decent match, and Axel and Mango had the best match that night. That fucking match was phenomenal. But after that happened, it was like the BCW guys. We were just FTA guys. No.
Like, yeah, basically the BCW name kind of faded out. It was just
we did about a month of it. We did about a month of pushing that whole invasion, and then we were like, okay, we're all FTA, okay? Right. And I came into that park every fucking week, actually trying to impress people and do everything, and part of me just felt like it wasn't getting through. Like, okay, Mike's putting fucking stockings on his arm, and he's cutting holes in them. And, he's dyeing his hair. And, okay, he's Jeff Hardy. Woohoo! But it's like, yeah, that's my character, but I still want to dazzle. I still want to do something that's going to make you go, oh, shit, I wouldn't have did that,
Right.
And the opportunity didn't come for me until FTA, I think it was like December of that year. It was fucking cold out. It was super cold. But it was the first year that we were in FTA, me and Rick, and FTA was doing like a pay-per-view. Remember we used to do like a pay-per-view, like the big events?
Yeah.
And Motion came to me and he said, I want you and Tom Jew, basically. I want to take on like the mid-carders, basically. I want to, you know what I mean? I want to do that. And me and Tom were, we're not going to say it at the time, but at the time we were like, oh shit, Motion wants to do a match with us. That's fucking awesome. Like, this is a kid who's been doing this from the beginning and, has, basically been known as the best in FTA. Motion was the best in FTA. Okay. That's it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
I've always heard a lot of people praised Motion, so I kind of remember that.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Listen, Weasel was amazing. Sar and Dre, hell of a lot better than I was. But Motion was the shit, bro. He was the shit. So, and when he came to me and Tom, it was kind of like, he looks at us like we're in the same class, basically. Like, oh shit, like he wants to wrestle us, basically,
Yeah.
And the second that he did that, I can't lie about it. You ever heard about the mass transit incident?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember? It ended bad for him. Luckily, didn't end bad for me. But do you remember he was going up to New Jack and Devon and telling them, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. And it's like, who the fuck are you? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I fucking did that. And I'm not going to lie, I did it. But I went up to Motion and I said, I think that this is the best way that we can have a match. You know what I'm saying? During that time, Jeff Hardy had just done the Whisper in the Wind off the top of the cage. So I said to Motion, I said, bro, you guys stand down there. I'll go up to the yellow bar and I'll do the fucking corkscrew off the yellow bar. And they'll go nuts, I promise you. And he was like, down. He's like, done. I was like, okay, I'll bring 2 tables to the show and I'll swanton through it and that'll be the end of the match. He was like, done. He was so fucking accommodating to everything that I wanted to do. I was blown away. I was like, bro, this kid like was fucking doing fucking frog splashes off of 20-foot fucking things. And like he's down to do what I want to do. It was awesome to me. It was a great experience. And the match went on, and it was fucking incredible. It was incredible. It started out with me and Motion grappling, and then and then Tom comes in basically, and he interrupts us, and we scruffle, and we do this and we do that, and there's a spot, and then while Tom and Motion are like, doing their thing, I start ascending to the yellow bar, and then before you know it, I'm up there back, with the. It's pretty
I know.
scary.
You have your back
And they're
turned.
behind you. Exactly. It's pretty scary. It's not. It's not. It's not
I've been
much
up
fun.
there. Trust me.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
When you're standing there and they're behind you, you're like, if they miss me, I'm fucked. Basically, if they miss me,
And you don't know it yet.
right. It went so perfect. I corkscrewed. I landed right on them. They caught me. I threw my arms up in the air. Yeah, like one of those. Like everyone screamed. We did a lot more spots in the match, a lot more spots. Tom did his thing, Motion did his thing, and then we did the final spot where I set the tables up. I put Mark and Tom onto the tables, and this is where Motion was the fucking man, because originally I said, okay, so I'm gonna hit Tom on the table, Motion, you're gonna slide off on the second table, and you're gonna pin us, and that's gonna be the end of the match. And Motion said to me, I don't want to go over. I said, what? I said, bro, no, you're the guy in the match. Like it's Motion versus Tom and Tonkpils, basically. I was like, you're the guy in the match. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I'll hit Tom, you'll move, and you'll pin it. He's like, no, I don't want to go over. Tom will go over. I was like, holy shit. That's fucking insane. So
Yeah.
I hit Tom. I hit Marcus with the swanton. Tom rolled off. Tom went over and he won the belt.
Wow.
And they were screaming, they were yelling, they were applauding. It was the best match of the night easily. And that's when I felt like I'm home, basically. This is where I belong, basically. Speaking to the politics, I understand. There was a lot of bullshit that went on FTA,
Right. What would you say? What would you say was like the worst, like in terms of the cons? I mean, basically, you just gave a nice big pro of your match with Motion and Tom Drew there. So I mean, cutting to the end here, like what was, like I said before, like what was your pros and cons? I mean, you gave the pro, but like, I mean, was there any negatives that you didn't like about FTA?
Well, there was. Listen, okay. The way I could put it, if I had to think of some cons in the beginning, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I brought up to you the Invasion storyline, right?
Right. Yep.
We had a guy who just recently joined BCW, not BCW FTA's version, BCW like the Park version. And I think his name was Joe or something. He was a good guy. He wasn't a great wrestler or whatever. But we were kind of thinking, everyone came together and thought, like, we'll put him versus Hitman. That'll be like a good, like, technical match between, you know what I mean? And Hitman, I guess, basically, like practice with him like once or something and was like, I'm not wrestling him. I don't want to wrestle him.
Right.
And I was like, what? Like, we all wrestled people back in the day that, whether we felt like we were on their caliber or not, or
Sometimes it could always be one of those things where they just want to wrestle the people that they're close with. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're not gonna trust or want to be bothered.
Of course. And Rob, that was his name, Hitman. Hitman's name was Rob. And talking to him afterwards, it was like, yeah, but you don't know what you did to Joe by telling everyone that you weren't going to wrestle him because he wasn't good enough. Like, you kind of fucked him up. Like, he's sitting here like, oh, I'm part of the family. Like we're all gonna like have fun and wrestle together. And you're like, I'm not wrestling this kid. Fuck, you can't do anything. And it was like, Rob, what are you doing, bro? Like why are you doing this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
so what they did was they filmed a segment where Hitman went out to the ring and was like, yeah, I want to be involved in this storyline, in this invasion storyline, but I don't have a fucking person to wrestle. I don't have an opponent. And like they were building up like the whole like him being Canadian thing because he's Bret Hart, you know, that was his like image or whatever. So like, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I just don't have a match tonight. I just don't have a match tonight. And it's like, bro, come on, Joe would have wrestled you. Like you guys
Sounds
like
like a girl to me.
I'm like, you guys wouldn't have went out there and stole the show probably, but the kid wants to wrestle you. He wants to, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you making him feel like shit in front of everybody else? And that's how he
Yeah.
felt. He felt like shit in front of everybody else. So much so that I put him into a segment in my match that night. I had him come out and take one of the big sentons that night. You know, I was jumping off of one of the big spots, and I was like, you and Ryan could come out, and I'll dive off, and you guys could all catch me, basically. And I just felt terrible for the kid Joe. I was like, here's this guy, Rob, who is a perfectly cool guy. Like if Rob's watching this, like, I love you, bro. Hitman was awesome. But I just didn't understand. Like, you can't work with him? Why can't you work with him? You know? So those are some of the things that turned me off. You know what I mean? I was like, bro, when you're wrestling in the grass on Bay 50th in Brooklyn, New York, you'll wrestle anybody, bro. Like, I don't give a fuck. You never come on, we'll go wrestle. Like,
Exactly.
don't do that because you're hurting somebody's feelings by doing that. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's a good thing to do.
All right, so let's jump into the WFA days.
Yes.
Now, FTA eventually faded out. I mean, of course, we met
Well,
basically.
well, if you gave me a little time, I would have got into that. That the reason why me and Rick and Jonathan looked to the WFA as like, hey, this is our landing spot, is because that was a con about FTA. At that time, they were done. They were done. They didn't want to get organized. They didn't want to do it no more. And me and Rick and Jonathan wanted to keep going. We wanted to do it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So if you ask me about a con of FTA, it was the later days. It was them just being like, oh, we're going to go and have fun and we're going to tease people and we're going to make fun of people. And I was like, oh, I thought we were here to wrestle. Like, what happened? Like, you know? So a
Yeah,
lot.
it seemed like I mean, from what I remember, when I made my debut, I mean, basically my debut was pretty much it was the last two shows because you got to remember I had my debut match with Rick, which aired tonight on the channel, and then my second to last match was against Bernardo, who made his debut, and that was the last show.
Yeah.
So I lost to Rick. I wrestled Bernardo. I beat him. That was my only win in FTA.
Mhm.
And then that was it. FTA was done. I mean, so I got in there pretty much the last minute,
Yeah.
and that was the end of it. But that's basically how I met you. You came to the Park Grounds event. You did like a little run in. You did like a little twist of fate on Rick, and then of course the Cropsey Park screw job happened, and Oz became infamously known for the "what the fuck" moniker. And then from there, I had my FTA debut, and like we met, you know, we shared pleasantries and all that stuff. And then
Can
you
I,
came.
can I say, Sean, remember when I came in, right, to the WFA? And you were like your gimmick was like the you were the commish, you were the owner basically, you know?
But yeah.
For some weird reason, I had this weird gimmick in my head at that time of like I'm gonna be the security guard of the fucking bro. Trust me, I've done this in other like small organizations, just small like videotape or and we're gonna video, and I would come in and I'd be like, no, no, he's the owner, and you're not gonna mess with him. And I don't know why, but when I came to WFA, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be your protector. I'm gonna twist the fate Rick because he's going after you. It was a terrible gimmick, bro. I'm sorry.
I
But
don't
yeah,
remember you ever telling me that, but if that's something you have in
yeah,
your mind, thank God you
yeah.
didn't bring it up.
Well, I just
but uh, but
yeah.
Yeah, so basically your first appearance in WFA was just that little run-in, but like when you made your official debut, which is going to be aired on this Best of series, which is your first match in WFA,
Please.
was against your longtime friend Jonathan, aka Sode.
It also.
So now, when I remember when you came in, Rick came backstage. He was pretty much congratulating me on the match between me and him the night before.
Right.
And I pretty much approached you and I said, you know what? Since you're in the building tonight, you're going to face a new member in WFA. So go get ready.
You to do that, Sean. I told
Yeah.
you to do that because I didn't want people thinking that I'm coming in here with some type of ego where I'm like, oh, I'm FTA. I wanted you to put me in my fucking place. Listen, this is your federation, bro. I'm a guest here. You tell me what I'm doing, and that's the way I wanted it to go.
Yeah, man. And you know what? So tell me about this match, man, because this is going to be the first match that introduces into the best of series. Uh, how'd you meet Sode, and what was that match like
Okay.
for you?
Okay. So me and Jonathan were friends from the neighborhood. Me and him, we fucking did everything together. Like, oh God, from when I was, Jesus, I guess 15, 16, up until I was like at least 19. For 3 years, me and Jonathan were inseparable. We did
Wow.
everything. We really did. We were really good friends. And he's doing well now. He's a barber now. He's doing
Oh,
good.
cool.
Yes, he's
That's
doing very
awesome. Good for him.
yeah. But
So
we
take me into the match, man. What now? I know off camera you were telling me you're not a big fan of this match, but I mean, I thought it was a pretty decent match. I mean, you guys seem like you went a way back of days with each other. Uh, so take me into your debut match, man.
okay. So basically, me and Jonathan, good friends, and we wrestled around the neighborhood. We did our own thing, especially after PCW was done, especially after FTA was done. We were just doing our own thing. And we did, there was this year that came by. I can't name the exact year. Maybe it was 2002 or 3, where we started wrestling in the snow. And we
Okay.
were like, yo, this is going to be like our thing. We're going to wrestle in the snow because it's fun, basically, you know? And I got hurt.
Right.
I got fucking hurt wrestling in the snow. Okay. So there was a point where, I mean, listen, you had 2001, 2002 of me, I'm sorry, 2000, 2001, 2002 of me wrestling with FTA and just jumping off of anything or whatever. And it was great. And then here comes this winter and we're wrestling in the snow. We're all having fun. And I got hurt. I got hurt that I had to go to the hospital. And this is just supposed to be us having fun. So, I feel like I dialed back a lot. Okay, Salem. I'm sorry, Salem wants to be on camera. Okay, Salem. Yay, yay, you're on camera. Okay. Uh, I feel like I dialed back a lot. Okay, and then Rick, that was when Rick called me and he said, "Yo, we're gonna go to WFA. We're gonna do this thing. Are you down?" And I was like, "Of course I'm down." And I was like, tell them that I want to wrestle Jonathan at the show. Like, we'll make him like a WFA member and I'm the FTA guy and like it'll work. It'll be brilliant. But I don't want them to like hold me up on like some high standard. I was like I want them to be like, "Yo, you're just like us."
Right.
If you watch if it was even available, if you would watch the last match that I had with FTA and then turn on the match that I had with Jonathan for the first match in WFA, you would think it was two different people. You would think it
Yeah.
was two people.
So basically, your match coming in wasn't as what you would plan, but
Terrified is a strong word. Terrified is a strong word. I don't know if I was terrified, but I definitely didn't want to take any bumps. I had a mental state where after the snow thing happened, okay, where we were wrestling in the snow, and I hit a part of the jungle gym and I got hurt. I believe there was like a few more FTA shows after that. I actually bailed out of a swanton off of the yellow bar. One of my most embarrassing moments in the FTA. The camera, they were filming, the match was going on, Wiggy was going to move, and instead of diving off of the yellow bar and landing on my back in the swanton, I kind of grabbed onto the bar on my way down and kind of like landed on my feet. It was probably the most embarrassing.
So basically, your debut match, you had a little fear about taking bumps because of
Yeah.
because of some of the stuff that happened in the past and things like that.
Just
Well, you know what?
we're talking about the snow and me getting hurt. We're talking about the FTA incident, and then here I am, and it's like, well, this is Tonkpils from the FTA. Like this is going to be a great match, and I wouldn't even climb the rails to do the Whisper in the Wind. I did the Whisper in the Wind off the small platform because I was kind of afraid to do it, basically.
And I know the ending of the match didn't go as planned for you as you would hope it for, but you went for the swanton off the top. The table didn't break,
Right.
and then from there you went for the cover, and you went over in that match. But I thought it was a pretty decent match. And what do you think?
But can I just say one more thing before we go?
Sure.
Tonkpils, a few months before that, would have went back up, and he would have went through the table again. But my frame of mind at that time, I was done with the match. It was over. So that's real for you guys.